where we see that how are symbols of praise in the Bible. The Bible is replete of so many psalms that was written by the man after God's heart, and that is David. But you know, in our day, the day of the last Christians, according to Ellie J, we still have, you know, symbols of praise here on earth. And I'm talking about no other person than the man whose name is Praize. Who is that? No, not correct. I'm talking about Joe Praize, and he is in the building. I know some people said Praise Samuel, or you might have said some other praise, but this is the praise we're talking about.
You know,
amazing.
we're so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
So good to be here. Amazing. I was just trying to, I was wondering,
She's fantastic like that. Now the thing with Joe Praise, you're synonymous with praise.
Yeah.
To God be the
Literally.
praise.
And it's not just because of the way you shout when it's time to sing, but it's just the whole lifestyle. We're going to talk about different things today because I know that basically you didn't just appear. You have a journey.
Definitely.
That you're coming from. And we've often heard of testimonies of how God took you from your back. You've said it, most of the concerts I've attended and me working with you, I've heard your gist. Let me put it like that.
I like that word.
You know, so
brings it home.
Yes, we want you to take it home right from. I want somebody watching right now to understand where you're coming from. Take us through your growing up years and your background. First of all, where you're from, how you grew up. Let's know where you're coming from.
Praise God. Always good to be here. You know, there are many things that makes up a man that is graced by God. You know, most times it's important for us to hear those stories. People want to celebrate the glitz and the glamour, the results, but let's celebrate the processes. You know, so before I do all of that, I want to say a very big thank you to my man of God, you know, Pastor Chris, an amazing personality in this generation. You can't find two. The only person you can say looks like Pastor Chris are his children. You know, Pastor Sir, I want to say a very big thank you to you, sir. Thank you for your investment. You know, the word of God in your spirit that you brought to us was just that thing that flipped everything around for me. All right, growing up back then in Benin City, I grew up in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. It was such a beautiful time, but you can take it away from the many lessons learned from mom and dad, growing up in that house where you're number 8, you know, in the family. I wonder how our mothers, you know, had
did it back then.
lots of children back then. I mean, my mom had 9.
Jesus.
9, I'm
So you
number
were
8.
second to the almost last born.
Yeah, and my dad named me after his name. He named me after him. He's Joseph, I'm Joseph. And my son is Joseph.
So that's Joseph the third.
Funny enough, Pastor didn't even, he's not even aware that my dad's name is Joseph.
Just gave him Joseph.
He named my son
Joseph.
Asha Joseph.
Aye.
Amazing.
Lovely.
So back to the story. Growing up in Benin then, primary education, secondary education in Benin, it was it wasn't a pleasant one, but it was something that I didn't complain. We didn't complain because we were just okay with what mom had to give, what was available. I grew up in a house where when it's time to watch TV, you had to go to neighbor's house and climb you have to climb something and watch through the window.
To watch TV?
Yeah, to watch TV, the black and white television. You know, I had those kind of stories. I had stories where you go to school in the morning, you're back from school, you have to go to the markets to go meet mom in the markets to help her out to do her stuff in the market. She used to call me her accountant. I wanted to study accounting. And after which I got into marketing and all of those stuff, but in the end, studied social work and administration. You know, so I had those growing days, and prior to that time, I would help out, to do my own business. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever had of this, what they call it cold water, not pure water.
Ice water.
Ice water.
Ice water. No. Cold water first before ice water.
Oh, wow.
Then pure water.
Which one is cold?
The one you measure with cup.
Okay.
Oh.
You just have it in your
Benin, I remember.
rubber
No,
cup, whatever
just
cup.
rubber cup. They took it from a bucket
In the bucket.
of ice.
You just go to a good tap, just get your water, get an ice block from somewhere, put it in there, put on your head, go to the market. After school, you must do that to get some money.
You did that?
Oh, yes, I did it. You know, so after that, you had the days of the ice water, then the pure water and all of that. You know, many, many things we got into that most times I don't talk about because it appears as child labor, but it wasn't. It was just life for us then. You had to just survive, just live. It was something I did, supporting family, supporting mom. I could see how she would be in the market there from morning till like 7 p.m. at night, you know. So when I'm done from school, I'm back to the market supporting her. You know, when she starts selling in the evening, when, you know, people come and it's really busy, I'm the one counting the money. Counting the money, keeping the money. So she could trust me with her money. You know, after, when she passed in 94, I had to take up the whole stuff myself. It was really...
What was she selling?
You know, now she was retailing rice and beans. You know rice?
Yes.
The rice and the beans we eat. She had lots of people who would come to her and just do, you know. But she wasn't that kind of person who had that store. Do you understand? It wasn't like a shop somewhere. You know those places where you have to put them in a big bowl. Do you have that? Do you know that? You know we're in Lagos now, so I'm trying to remember all those stories. Bring your mind back. Those big bowls. You have the rice here. You have the beans here. This rice is okumbes. This one is from Agbede. This one is from Abakaliki rice. This one is, you know, all of those stuff. You know, we had it. So she was doing it. When she passed in 94, I began to retail to sell, you know, tomatoes. Those guys who sell it then in the market.
Yes.
I'm taking you on the journey, right?
Yeah, it's a journey.
What I'm not sure I've ever said it here on this platform. You know, then I began to retail, to sell tomatoes in the market because I needed to, you know, to survive. I have never been a fan of, you know, going out begging. I haven't been a fan of trying to steal or get into some very funny ways of making. Now, back then, this was, how old was I then? That should be like I was 14, 15. Yeah, I was already doing that, you know. So I would sell my tomatoes in the end, I'll make money, you know. Maybe I buy it for like maybe 120 naira. I'm making like 40 naira. Oh, that's beautiful, that's big. So we migrated from there into traveling to Cotonou. From Benin, I'll go to Cotonou to buy fairly used clothes. You know, come back to Benin to come sell.
You sold fairly used clothes.
Oh yeah.
What they call bend down boutique.
Yeah. No. It's not Benda Boutique. It is Aloko. It's not Benda Boutique.
If you're in Benin, you understand.
Aloko. No, you
No.
for where? No,
No,
you guys.
in Benin.
You know, you guys. Yoruba is
No.
an offshoot of Benin.
Oh,
Benin City.
You guys came from us.
Aloko one.
Yes. So I will sell all of that. I'll go take it to universities, you know, schools, marketplaces to go sell, make my own money. You know, I was just okay. Then in '98, when my dad passed, I just knew I had to get a hold of the Word of God more than I've ever had. I've been born again since '91, but I just said to myself, no, it is the Word now.
it is the word.
That was when everything changed.
I watched your video, All the Praise.
Yeah.
Does that chronicle?
Exactly.
Because now
that
that
was what
you're
I tried
speaking.
to pass across in that video, even though I didn't go so deep because I knew it was going to be on social, you know, all over the world. So I didn't want people to feel like, this is suffering. No. And I don't like people pity me when I talk about this story because no, I'm not to be pitied. I'm to be celebrated. So,
Indeed. So that video actually depicted some of those things.
Absolutely.
You talked about how you had to go through all of this to survive. Now, one thing we see with people is the fact that when young people, especially, you know, lose their parents at a young age, the vices within the society puts a pressure on you to want to, you know, I want to be big, I want to be better. Of course, you had dreams, you had things that you wanted to accomplish. Were there any time that you felt like, oh, I'm alone, I can't cope, I can't continue? Were there times like, look, I'm done being the good boy here. I've got to join my friends, you know, to be better, to be bigger,
I gotta
faster,
blow.
and quicker. Blow, yeah, that's the word. So were there times you felt like I'm all alone, there's nobody here to guide me, and how did you cope when you felt like this in those times?
You know, the truth is there's nothing wrong in feeling alone. It is when you begin to feel lonely that it becomes a problem. I've always I love to be alone. Just it helps me to, you know, be more creative. It helps me to listen. It does a lot for me. But what you're talking about is being alone at that time. Okay, so did you not start thinking about, okay, let me, you know, those things come from when you are not lonely. When I'm alone, there's a conversation going on. And mind you, I was already born again then. You know, so for me, in the area where I grew up in a very bad area. We had all the bad guys. The house where I used to live was where they were retailing marijuana, what do you call it? Let me use the word Igbo. Marijuana.
Weed.
Yeah, weed.
Wow.
They used to retail it in my house then. But I never had whatever, not even a cigarette. You know? So my dad wasn't a practicing Christian when he was alive, but there are some values that he instilled into us that you just can't find yourself doing certain things. He made you understand that you are not a nobody. Your dad I may not have all the monies, but look, you are my son. You know, so I didn't give myself to all of that because I just knew there was something different about me. I knew I was somebody different, you know, among those guys. I remember one time, I always share this story. I always tell my wife, this is the reason you don't find me fight anywhere. Because I got engaged in one years ago. That I went to some friends who apparently had a quarrel with some people. I didn't know they were going there to fight. They just said, escort us to this place. You see the problem? So I followed them there. When I got in there, at the sight of us, those guys just, you know, brought out, I mean, it was their area. They knew where all the sticks were, all the irons and all the stuff. And they all came, I'm like, what's going on here? Before you could defend yourself, it was a serious fight, a serious beating. You know, so I had all of those kind of friends then, but God took me out of them because there was a plan for my life. So there was no time where I felt, you know, alone to begin to do certain stupid stuff because there was a conversation going on in my spirit, like that started way before my parents even passed.
Yeah, you know, you talk about how that God took you out and brought you to a particular place. One of the places where God took you to was Lagos, and you came to Lagos. When you came to Lagos, you got an education. You know, people will say, oh, I'm leaving this place, I'm going here, let me go and make greener pasture. Was that the case for you? When you came to Lagos, what happened?
How did you come?
How did you come to
I like that. I like the how, because the how is very interesting. You know, the how is very, very interesting. You know, I always would celebrate my elder brother, Deacon Sylvester. Always would celebrate him anytime, any day. That man is something else. You know, it was in the year 2000. God brought me to ministry in 98. And after my dad passed, we had just finished because then the area where I was living, my dad wasn't he was a Christian. When he had the accident, we went and ministered to him, led him to Christ, right in his hospital bed there. But he didn't survive the whole whatever passed. The churches around our area organized a Christian wakekeeping for my own dad.
Wow.
They were very supportive, you know, they were all around us. But they couldn't understand, after the whole stuff, why I left, why God took me and brought me to the man of God, Pastor Chris, in 1980. They're like, what happened? Did we offend you? I said, no, I'm in search of the word. So when, in 2000, where I was to move house from where I used to live, I just spoke with Deacon Sylvester then, he was already in Lagos. And I said to me, you're looking for a house there, why not, let me just look for a bigger house, let everybody come to Lagos. I'm like, oh, that's fine. So he got this house. I thought we were coming, guess how I came to Lagos?
I think I know that.
You know a pickup van, you know those pickup that Guardian newspaper used to send papers to the South, Benin and all, Warri and all those stuff, because they would leave like early in the mornings, like 3, 4 a.m., get to Benin like 6, 7.
So drop the newspaper
for the day.
For the day. So I came, you know, they will come back to Lagos that same day. So I came with that
newspaper van.
van. And I didn't sit in front. I sat at the back.
With the
where you are
newspapers.
looking at where you're coming from. So you are looking at where you're coming from.
Oh my goodness.
Got into Lagos on the 5th of March 2001. I can't forget that day.
Wow.
When I came into Lagos, you're asking, okay, I came in and I had an education. Yes, I left Benin with just my books and my clothes, few clothes, nothing else.
So all those businesses you were organizing,
You left them
everything.
I
behind.
left everything.
So how did you now survive in Lagos?
When I came, I mean, that's why I said I celebrate the man, the King Sylvester. When I came in, in fact, the money I came in with from Benin, the day I got into Lagos was the last day for a certain finance convention. That, yeah, that year. And that was the first time I would be in a program like that. I've been attending programs, I mean, it's been a lot. I never knew anything about finance, money program, you're talking money. So I got into that hall that day at our church at FCC. I saw people going out to sit on the altar. I'm like, what? I mean, that was new to me. Like, see that kind of move. Not just money, you're carrying things. I saw one particular guy, a huge Ghana Mosque, he was dragging it. You could see his muscles pumping as he was dragging that thing to the altar. That guy inspired me. I took off my shoes, the best that I had. I bought that shoe in Benin. If I was going to dress up for any whatever, that would be what I was going to wear. And that guy afterwards, having inspired me, I reached out to him. He became my personal, barber for several years. Yeah, but the story is, my going back to school, getting an education in Lagos was something that my mom